Hello, and welcome to Physics for Dummies. Today, we're going to be talking about an amazing natural theme. That's right, animal sound waves. But what are animal sound waves? Not to be confused with a regular sound wave. Animal sound waves can be any noise produced by any animal if you think about it. But we're going to focus a little bit more thoroughly. We're going to be focusing on echolocation. Sound waves may have the properties you already know about a sound wave: amplitude, frequency. All these parts still exist. For further understanding, I'm going to show some vocabulary of a regular sound wave so you may understand better echolocation. Here is a whole graph showing each of the properties of a sound wave. Amplitude is the distance from the equilibrium to the crest. The amplitude of a sound wave determines its loudness or volume. Frequency, well, the frequency of a sound wave is what your ear understands as a pitch. A higher frequency has a higher pitch, and the lower frequency has a lower pitch. It is measured in hertz. The frequency can be also the time it takes for one cycle to another. And finally, wavelength, which is the distance between waves. Moving on to echolocation, finally. So, a basic understanding of echolocation is, for example, an animal produces noise. That noise travels in waves, and that wave bumps into an object and comes back, reflects. The time it takes for that sound wave to reflect upon an object and for the emitter to receive it back is very important because that determines what the animal perceives as size, distance, how fast that thing is going. So that is a basic understanding or example of echolocation. Now we're going to focus on echolocation within bats because it's a terrestrial animal and it's easier for the audience to understand. So bats are not all completely blind. Actually, most have very good eyesight. The thing is that most bats are nocturnal, so echolocation is basic for their survival. So what do bats do? Since they have to hunt in the dark, they let out some quicks or clicks, a very high frequency or high pitched noise that we normally cannot hear. This type of sound could be called ultrasound. So bats give out this sound, and this sound bounces back upon several objects. The time it takes from the object to bounce back towards the bat's ear or ears gives a mental image of the size of the object or even the magnitude of the wave could determine the size. For example, lower objects would have lower magnitudes of waves. So, what does this mean? This means that if a bat is hunting, they would produce more clicks because they're hunting smaller prey. They're not looking for bigger prey than them because they cannot hunt them. Those big size things would be to move around on the air as they're flying. A bat could make 190 clicks per second, so they can see pretty well with echolocation. Important to notice that the speed that the echo comes back determines the distance between the bat and the object around them.
Dele. Okay.
Finally, some of the uses of echolocation in real life are like sonar and radar used in military submarines or submarines in general. They use exactly the same, well, base of echolocation from animals. So they basically copied what the animals actually do for technology that we humans use today. And finally, here is the math equation that they use for sonar and radar.